So how's the inventory here in Denver? How long are homes staying on the market? And are we seeing more price reductions? In this video, we'll be going over the top 5 stats you need to know so you can stay on top of the Denver market. I'm Titus King. It's time for How's the Market January 2020. Hi, I'm Titus King with Keller Williams Realty Downtown. I film these How's the Market videos so you can stay as up to date in the Denver market and be as confident as you can be when you have a real estate decision to make. Stat number 1, number of homes sold. So last month we had 4,458 homes sold. There's a 7% increase from last month and an 18% increase from last year. To break that down a little more, condos and townhomes accounted for 1,286 of those sales. Those attached units had a greater increase than the detached at 12% and increased 24% from last year. The detached single family homes was 3,172, which is a 5% increase from last month and a 15% increase from last year. So we're still seeing a lot of activity pushing later into the winter season with both the attached and detached markets. Stat number 2, average sold prices. So for the entire Denver metro market, the average sale price was $484,000. That is a very slight decrease of less than 1% from last month, but still a 4.8% increase from last year. Average sold price for condos and townhomes was $372,000. That was a 2.6% increase from last month and a 7% increase from last year. We're still seeing appreciation in the detached homes market. Average sold price was $529,000. That is a less than 1% decrease from last month, so it's staying level month over month, and a 4.7% increase from last year. Stat number 3, number of new listings hitting the market. So last month we saw 2,557 new homes coming available on the market. Now that was a 30% drop from last month. We typically see a pretty large drop during these winter months, but that was still much larger than usual. However, from last year, we were actually up by 11%. So we combine those new listings that hit the market with the listings that carried over from last month, and we ended up with 5,042. That is a 25% decrease from last month and a 13% decrease from last year. The problem we're still having is inventory is still very scarce. When we talk about listings going under contract, they accepted an offer. There were 3,514 homes that went under contract last month. That is a 20% decrease from the month before, but a 14% increase from last year. So we're seeing so much pent-up buyer demand that wasn't met during the summer and fall months that's pushing into the winter months, and the lack of inventory there is really driving prices up in the market. Stat number 4, days on market. So here in Denver, we're at 48 days on market. That is actually a 5-day increase from last month. So homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. Buyers have a little bit more time to go look at those homes. And stat number 5, weeks of inventory. So last month we were at 5 weeks of inventory. That is down 2 weeks from last month and 2 weeks from last year. So how is that number calculated? Well, we take the number of homes that are on the market right now, divide that by how many homes are selling per month, and that'll tell us how long it will take for all those homes on the market to be sold off if no new homes were added to the inventory. Now, a balanced market is typically around 20 to 28 weeks. Anything above that is a buyer's market, anything below that is a seller's market. So as you can see, the sellers really have the advantage in negotiations. However, if you're selling your home, you really need to make sure your home is in tip-top shape. When buyers are paying these record-breaking prices for homes, they really expect to get a lot more value for their dollar. So set your house apart. Number 1, make it as clean as possible. 2, do any refurbishing. And 3, make sure you get professional staging, professional photography. Don't let it be the dud in the neighborhood. Make it the cream puff. Question of the day. We're in 2020. It's a new month, a new year, and a new decade. What are your goals for 2020? Are you thinking about buying your very first house, maybe upsizing, or buying your very first investment property? Let me know down in the comments, what is your biggest goal for 2020? Thank you for watching How's the Market for January 2020. I'm Titus King, Keller Williams Realty Downtown. If you're thinking about upsizing, downsizing, or buying your very first house this year, let's talk. Call me directly at 303-910-3020. Check out my website. The link is below. Till then, guys, I hope to see you all again in the next video.